Hi my friends, how are you? Pat Sloan here. I want to first do a mail call because I want to thank Mylene for finding my article with my little project in American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. Mylene is laid up for a bit, and so she's not able to stand very much, so she was going through all of her magazine. She said she got binders, she got inserts, she went through everything and took out the things that she might want to make in the future, which I think she said were quite a few. So this was one that she saw and she sent it to me. So thank you so much. That is so fun to find. All right, I have a couple other things, and then at the end I want to talk about one of my fabric choices for the Happy Everything quilt. I thought, every so often here, up until when it starts, I'm going to take one of those piles of fabric and walk through it a little bit and just talk about how I would think about that pile, and it may stay as an option, it may not. Okay, so first though, today on our calendar, it is a double whammy, a foodie day. It is a chocolate day and a guacamole day. Two of my very favorite things. So I looked around, it's like, what kind of chocolate do I have? So we have these little thin York peppermint patties. I really like these. They're really nice, like right after dinner, or a little snack in the afternoon, just a little something sweet. And also now I'm gonna have to go buy a guacamole and make some guacamole today. Either that or go buy some. But during the pandemic, I actually taught myself to make guacamole. I still don't think it's as good as going to the restaurant. I don't know. I don't think I make it that good, but I'll have to have some to celebrate. So if you have a favorite chocolate bar, tell me in the comments, or favorite type of chocolate. And if you like guacamole or don't like guacamole, hey, celebrate the likes. We don't want to say the negative stuff. So just tell me what you like. Okay, I did this. So I got a few thoughts here first. So I got this guy done. Ta-da! These are the trimmings from the Oh My Star, from the outside border star points, because that was on that red, and then I can make a little block. I'm thinking still of one little rim around it, and then I can make a little mug rug. I think that'd be super cute. The other thing I asked on my Facebook and my Instagram community the other day was, how many times do you take a bent pin out, look, it's bent, out of your pin bowl or your pin cushion, and then stick it back in. Take it out, stick it back in. Take it out, stick it back in. Well, this one, I've done it quite a few times. This is the pin bowl I use. And now I stuck it in the design board. So it still hasn't, because I have to open the drawer down here and clear off the thing and get out the little container that has for bent pins. So that's, that's a big task for today. Get rid of the bent pin. Now on Cross Stitch University, ta-da! I did the outside border first, like the lessons are doing. Why? I could have waited. I could have decided to just do the inside and do the border afterwards, but I thought, I'm going to try it. That's the point of learning something new, is to try a different way. And because I don't have a long history of cross stitching, I have a long history of embroidery, but not cross stitching. So I thought, I'm just going to do it the way it's presented, and then I can see if it works for me. Now, once I got two sides done, then I ended up doing part of the way on the other side, part of the way on the fourth side, and then I could more easily see that they matched. Now, in the post where I first talked about this, which was Tuesday, I think, lots of you gave suggestions on how to mark the tens. So you could do it with a Frixon pen, like out here. Some of you actually based a line at the tens. You use little safety pins to mark where they are, or just little dots somewhere out here, which is past your area. Anything to give you that visual. So those are all good. Good tips. I remember maybe a year or so ago when I first started looking at this, thinking about marking it out there, but then that totally slipped my mind. I wasn't on my radar anymore. So there were really good tips, and I think for me, I might do some dots all along like the outside, so at least I have an outer visual next time to get me going. Or I might do it now. We'll see what I want to do. Okay, the other thing I got, I know, okay, don't even say it. I got some yarn because I want to do a shawl or a scarf, and I crochet, I don't knit. And so I saw this yarn, and it's the same, this is the same one, but it looks totally different. Look at that. Like this one seems to have more orange, and there the orange is on the inside. Like if I were in the store, I would not pick these up thinking they were the same. But they are. They're the same number, 36. So anyway, now I had to find a scarf pattern. I've looked at a couple of them, you know, like maybe a triangle one, or you know, rather than a rectangle. I was thinking of a triangle one to use for the fall. And this is nice and soft, and you know, anyway, I have to do something now in the evenings. It helps keep these fingers moving, but I also, when it gets dim, it's hard to see, and so that's no fun. So I have to kind of think about that. It's like, dimming light, dimming light. And I know I can turn a bright light on, but then if I'm sitting visiting with Greg in the evening, he doesn't like to sit in a big bright light. So then I wear my neck light, and I do use that sometimes, but I also just like to have another option. And you know, who doesn't need another scarf, right? I always can use another scarf. All right, now remember, the Virginia Quilt Museum event is the first Saturday in October, and it's free, it's virtual. So I want you to be sure that you are signed up for it. Right down below is a link right to the sign up page. And while you're there, down below, hit subscribe. Mwah. Then you always know when my videos come out, and they'll have you'll have that reminder. So you have a reminder to come and watch these. Okay, let's talk about the Happy Everything. Happy Everything. So let me make a little room here and look at the fabric, because I brought over today, for today's talk, is the fig tree fabric. So my friend Joanna does a lot of fabric lines for Moda, and they have a really nice feel. This is like 2 different fabric lines in here. So what I would do if I'm going to be using this is I will be looking at all of the tones, like whites, peaches, green. Okay, so there we have that. Like here is the teal, there's more teal, you know, more green. But in these 2 bundles, there's also these pinky reds. See, so I've got the pinky red. So what I want to do is have everything separated. Okay, it also has, this line also has some tan. Whoops. Okay, here's here's the tan. So it has these tan fabrics. So I'm thinking this is all the colors. The point is, when you get a bundle, or if you're trying to like combine 2 bundles and you want to see what you actually have, you kind of need to get them all out. Like this one's actually like a different shade of peach. So you've got like 3 shades. So I'm going to call that another shade. And then I would go through. There's all of this in here still. There's a lot more fabric. There's tons and tons of fabric to do this. Now, when I look at the Happy Everything, I'll show you the back. When I look at the Happy Everything, you know, I would have probably a white background that, you know, goes, because these have like a white base, her white, and Joanna has a basic that's, you know, that kind of goes with that shade of sort of just not pure white. And that way I would get enough, you know, whatever the supply list says, so that I have it for doing the patchwork. But then in the sashings, I would decide like what colors do I want to use in the sashings. Would I want to use like green and yellow? So maybe all I want are these 2 in the sashings, would be green and yellow, and not really use too much else. You know, use a little bit. You know, you could use a little bit with it, but I would pick 2 main things. I could go, this would be kind of cool, is the taupe. So there's this, what if I did like, you could do yellow and taupe, and that would give it, oh, you know, a nice, like I would use those fabrics all for mostly of the sashings. What other color combinations? Now, instead of the yellow and taupe, could be the peach, that peach and taupe. Whoops, stuck that on the mic, sorry. Peach and taupe. If I did the aqua, the aqua and taupe. That's kind of neat too, aqua and taupe. So like here, if you look at this particular fabric line, it's got the pinky reds, yellows, and turquoise. It's always like a good way of looking at like, oh, what colors could work. So if I wanted to go the turquoise and sort of the pinky reds as the sashings, more likely I would not pick this because I want to use those colors in the blocks themselves. Not that you can't use the colors in the blocks that I use for the sashing, but I want to be sure that, you know, I have a little variety. And also for the line, there's only so much, you know, here, like down, like here, there's since I'm using 2 lines, if I use the brown, which I would kind of lean towards in this, there's also some of these light tans that go with the brown. So if I did brown and aqua, let's say, or brown and green as all the sashing, then I would, you know, also be able to go into the lighter colors, and for the green there's also some lighter colors, and just use those as primarily for sashing. Anyway, that is a little bit about how I tend to look at a line. And Joanna's lines are very medium tone. So that means a lot of the fabrics in this line, if you took a black and white photo of it, they would read very similar in tone. And then you would have every so often like a dark one, but otherwise they would all kind of read this medium tone, which means, you know, you have to work sometimes a little bit harder to get contrast in photography. When you're looking at it with your eye, the contrast is there, your eye can see it, but those medium tones tend to have less contrast in photography, in video and that kind of a thing. So I tend to need some fabrics that have a little higher contrast. So there was a peek at this fabric line for Happy Everything. I don't know if you have picked your fabric yet for this, but if you have not, get some out and start playing around and looking. In another day or so, maybe on Saturday, I'll do one of the other fabric lines or the other fabric collections that I showed and see what's there and how I would play around with it. I might go on the back side of the table and lay it out. Okay, all right, my friend, you're going to celebrate some chocolate and some guacamole today. Hey. 2 of my favorite things. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.